Hi guys, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, my phone overheated. Not only did my Wi-Fi stop working, but my phone overheated too. Like it legit overheated. It said it turned off and was like, I have it on an ice pack right now. Hey girl, I'm sorry, my phone freaking overheated too. I had to put it in the freezer for a second. I'm not even kidding. Hold on, I'm gonna request you. Can you request? It's for some reason it's not letting me request you. Well, I had it plugged in. I think it's because I had it plugged in while I was talking, and I think when I go live at the same time, it overheats. There you are. Okay. Whew. Hey, girl.
Hey.
Sorry about that.
No, it's cool. I wasn't sure if it was like me or if it was you because
No, it's my phone. It
Okay.
overheated. Well, first off, it was the Wi-Fi. I had to turn my Wi-Fi back on. I don't know, it's been acting funny the last couple of days. And then it overheated. And so, yeah. No, I got hacked. I got hacked by Casey.
I'm sure we both got hacked.
Right.
I'm sure.
But I think where we're at is it really kind of we're kind of like wrapping up where you're talking about the whole Angel situation.
Yeah, so like him and Angel have this bond, and this is the first time that they have ever gone this long with not speaking to each other. I've never seen this because even if he was having issues with his mom or if he was having issues with Nick, he was always in communication with Angel. And so, so for him to throw that stupid picture with Melissa onto Instagram and like kind of mock the outcome of that court date, like it was I'm sure it was a slap in his sister's face. Like that had to have been top worst day for her.
Yeah, that was messed up. That was a horrible slap in the face.
Yeah, of course it was. So like, when you ask me about like what was his relationships with his family, his strongest relationship that I would see was always Angel. Angel was always the strongest family relationship he had.
Mm.
And then it would kind of go to his mom. And then it would be like, oh, my mom's kind of irritating me right now, blah, 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 blah. But like, he still had a relationship with her. But out of all of his siblings, he was always the closest with Angel. He talked to Angel all the time. Like Angel was always in his life. This is the longest I personally have seen them not talk, them not communicate, them not be with each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's got to be very painful for everybody. I mean, this whole situation.
Yeah. I'm sure it's painful for the entire family, as dysfunctional as it is with the things that they've experienced growing up. But I mean, his family has always been in his life. It's just depending on who it is and like what time period it was. And that's usually meaning how bad was the drug use. Because if the drug use is really bad. I brought up.
Go ahead.
So like if the drug use is really bad and like he's like lashing out online and saying stupid shit and things like that, that's probably when he would be having the hardest times with Nick. But like when he was doing good and he was steady, his relationship was always really good with Nick.
So would it be fair to say that it's pretty toxic when Aaron goes downhill?
Yeah, it's toxic with anybody because Aaron likes to throw really, really low blows. And when Aaron is using, whether he's abusing his Xanax, whether he's popping pain pills, or if he's huffing, he's aggressive in his approach in anything. He's irritable. He picks fights with people. He argues with people. He pushes people away. He gets really erratic. You'll see him go on rants on social media. That is how I always knew when he was using. And I remember once he asked me, he's like, how do you know? And I'm like, your demeanor completely changes. You go from this calm person to this really agitated, really moody, like I want to fight this person. Like, it was just like night and day, the way he would be.
So one thing I did want to ask you is, because of where he's at right now with everything that's going on in his life and the point he is with, his where he's at with his mental state and how he seems to be, allegedly taking all these drugs and, how he's lashing out at people. He's having the cops kick down his door. He's fighting with people. He's, allegedly not taking care of his dog and getting into rat poison, just all these different things happening. He's kicking these people out on the curb and, just fighting with, all these online people and getting SWAT or whatever. What are your personal feelings about where he's at in his life right now? What are you feeling about it all?
So I remember I used to tell him, if you feel like you're on edge and you feel like you need to use, you could call me day or night. It doesn't matter. I'm always going to be there for you. I'll talk you out of it. I'm not going to be like these other people. And so there were times when he would call me, like in the middle of the night, and I would talk him down. Because I used to have a fear that I would wake up one morning and he would overdose. Like I would wake up one morning to news that, he was dead and it would be due to an overdose. So that's why a lot of the times I put, him before myself. That's why I stuck around a lot for as long as I did, because, this was someone that I cared a lot about. And I really wanted him to just kind of be happy, healthy, and really work on his career. Because for those who don't know him, he is talented. What he shows you right now, you're like, God, this sucks. But he's got talent in him. If he would put in the amount of energy that he does into fighting with people online every day and with his little stupid conspiracy theories and actually put it into his music, it would be night and day what you would hear compared to what he likes.
I have to totally tell you that I'm going to be honest. Like, I never listened to him before this whole thing. Like, I wasn't ever like a fan or anything. And I just have listened to him since this whole, this last 4 months or so. And so I was like, wow, like what is going on with his music? Like, I don't know what's going on. I heard his Love album. I thought it was good. It wasn't bad, but all this other stuff, I'm like, wow, he's not very good. I happened to run across a YouTube video, like, I don't know, 2 days ago. Dude, it was so good. I was like, are you kidding?
He's talented.
My jaw was down on the ground.
He's talented. He has a talent, but he's not using it because he's letting the drugs get to him. The drugs keep him from, really applying himself and being his best self. He could be really amazing if he really applied himself and actually did it. But he's not, because he's letting his drug use and his addiction run his life. Because has he always just listened to only his music? No, he listens to all sorts of music. I mean, I don't know what he listens to now, but he listens to all sorts of things. But when he was working on that Love album, he would send me songs before that album even came out. That's why I was like, I don't think people realize how old that album actually is. That album was released as an EP on Valentine's Day years ago.
Wow.
So like the songs on that album, he would send it to me. Like when he was working on them, he would send. Is he using? He's definitely fucking using. And I'm not going to sit here and say allegedly, because he is. You can tell by his demeanor. You can tell how he's acting that he's using.
Why does he keep saying that Sony didn't pay him? He's on record saying that he sold Sony his masters.
I don't know. I remember when he signed the contract with him, and I remember being so proud of him and so excited for him. I have no clue what went down with Sony. I think it was just because he was becoming less and less professional. Aaron is very stubborn, and he likes to do things his way, but Aaron is also very irresponsible, and so I'm sure he's, not shown up to deliver, and maybe it was kind of a breach of contract thing. I never really knew what happened with Sony.
Gotcha. Yeah, he says that they owe him millions of dollars and everything, but he was on the Zach Zing show, and he states that he sold his masters to Sony, and so that's not what he's stating now. He's saying that that they owe him money, and that that those aren't theirs, and it's like, wait a minute, that's a completely different story. So
no, I may not know all the details about the shit that went down with Sony, but I have an inkling of that Sony doesn't owe him shit. I don't think anyone owes him shit. He just doesn't have money, guys. He really doesn't have money. Trust me when I say he does not have money. I mean, when he left studios, when he was living in an apartment in Studio City, when his tour had ended, when we had first started talking. So end of 2013, when that tour ended, he ended up getting this place in Studio City. And it wasn't anything lavish. It was just your typical apartment that you would probably find in Studio City, and he did his own laundry. He cooked his own food. He didn't have a maid. He was living with his girlfriend at the time. He went out grocery shopping, him or her. It was very domestic. It wasn't this lavish lifestyle. And then when he left that apartment building, he ended up going to Malibu, and that's when he was kind of really spending beyond his means, and he was renting this house in Malibu. And I remember the lady that he rented to, he never paid on time. He owed her money. He ended up having to leave that location because he was so far behind on the rent on that it put her in a financial situation. And then he went to a smaller rental in Malibu, and that didn't last either. And I know it has to do with the cost of it. He wasn't paying it. He couldn't afford it. You're talking about a place that was costing close to $5,000 a month. And I knew he didn't have $5,000 a month, right. And then the smaller place I think was maybe $3,500 a month. He didn't have that. He was living a completely different lifestyle then.
Did he have royalties? Is that how he was able to get some things coming in at least monthly?
I know he once sent me a royalty check, and I was like, what is this? Because I had never seen one. And he's like, oh, it's royalties. And I was like, okay. It wasn't much though. It wasn't this crazy large amount though.
Yeah. Well, I kind of would assume that it's not every single freaking store and every place is playing I Want Candy every day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or it's not even that he owns that, because he doesn't own that. That's not even his song.
So as far as how he was paying it, when him and I first met and we first became friends, he was actively touring. He had income coming in. He had income coming in. Was he being wise with that income? No. He wasn't being wise with that income. It went from him having a band to him having a DJ to him DJing himself because he couldn't afford to pay these people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He would get paid. He would either get an advance, half up front, and then the rest later, or he would get paid day up. And, as soon as he got paid, he would use it to, live this, like I said, this lifestyle he couldn't afford. I knew he wasn't going to be able to keep up with the renting of the houses in Malibu because it was so expensive compared to what he was paying when he was living in that apartment in Studio City.
Right.
You know, like he had money coming in, but he had a lot of money going out too. He had expenses. You know, he didn't have like this big company backing him for a tour. You know, with a tour comes expenses, you know? So
and that's the thing is with where he's at now and what he's doing right now. It seems to me that he's kind of, you know, trying to grasp any way to make money. That's why he's jumped on the YouTube platform.
oh yeah, because he needs income. That's why you will hear him say dono, 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 because he needs income. He doesn't have anything coming in. He doesn't have any shows right now. He had what, like 4 shows in December?
Right.
And
right.
I can't imagine.
No, I think the next one is February or something. I don't know. I don't know exactly, but I know it's a ways away.
Like, was he making some money in the beginning of the year when he was actively on that pop tour? Yeah, he probably had some money coming in. He probably had a decent amount of money coming in compared to what he had coming in December.
Right. Yeah,
so
it's interesting how, you know, when you're just in the situation that he's in and how he's kind of just living kind of paycheck to paycheck, but also
it's not even paycheck though. It's living cash to
credit.
Cash. Yeah.
Credit to credit, kind of, you know. I mean, we've seen that he's owing Mondo and everybody else, and he's not really even paying anybody.
I knew Mondo wasn't going to get that money. Like, when he kicked Mondo out and he gave him like that initial amount, and he's like, yeah, he's going to pay me the rest tomorrow. I was like, he's not going to get. He probably had coming. The amount of money that he had coming in the beginning of the year was probably significantly more than what he has coming in now. And it's not like he saved any of that money. So it's not like he has like a nest egg to live off of. You know what I mean? So that's why he's so pushy, and, you know, he's begging for those donos, because that's what it is. It's begging. When you say donos, donos, donos so many times within, you know, a couple of minutes, is because he's desperate for that money.
Right.
You know,
extremely desperate. There's nobody that does that. Nobody sits there for 8 hours a day saying, hey, I need, you know, donos, give me donos. Nobody does that.
No, he needs a source of income. That's his current source of income right now.
Yeah, that's so odd.
That's why
it's like he has no shame.
He doesn't, because he's at rock bottom right now, and it scares me, because when you're already at rock bottom, like, past rock bottom isn't good. Past rock bottom is he's not going to wake up one day. You know, that's why his fans were legitimately concerned when he stopped responding on that live. They knew that something wasn't right. Doesn't matter. Lindsay can sit there and say, oh, he's taking a nap. Oh, he's deep in thought. No, he's not taking a nap. He's in rough fucking shape. Open your eyes. Stop enabling him, because you guys are going to wake up one day to hearing the news that he has overdosed. And that is why the people that were watching his live that day called in those welfare checks. His fans, the very own viewers of that live, called that shit in. Not his family. Not, you know, he didn't get fucking, what is it that he likes to call it? He didn't get swatted. Those were people that were legitimately concerned that something happened to him. And that's the matter of the fact. They busted his door down because they were concerned. There was enough for them to be concerned to go out there, bang on his door, and actually break it down. How do you not hear your door being broken down if you're just taking a nap?
Not only that, he didn't even hear them when they went up into the loft where he passed out or wherever he
Yeah.
was passed out at.
Yeah.
They were screaming in his face
Yeah.
at least 4 or 5 times before he actually muttered, "Huh?" You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It wasn't a nap.
No.
It
No.
wasn't a nap. And anyone that wants to sit there and say it was a nap, they're full of fucking shit. This is a
Right.
guy that is not sleeping, that is streaming, 18, 19 hours of his day so he can try to maximize as many donations as he can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not eating properly. He's not sleeping. He's probably not even taking the medication that he needs to be taking because he probably can't even afford it.
Right.
Am I going to fill this medication?
Verified.
What did you say?
Oh, his mom verified that when they were driving, that the reason why they stopped at the hospital is because he was actually going for medication. He was trying to get medication, whatever that meant.
Yeah, she said he was doctor shopping.
Right.
Yeah. You know, but there are medications that he does need to take that are important. And I highly doubt he's taking them because he probably can't afford them. He doesn't have a doctor that he's actively seeing to even prescribe it to him, to be honest. And that's sad.
It is sad. I did see Spencer give him a bag that was a medicine bag, a prescription bag.
Yeah, I saw that too. And I don't know what it is. I can only imagine it's Xanax because
Right.
it's his go-to. And he can sit there and say, yeah, I have anxiety and I need to take the Xanax. He does get prescriptions for Xanax, but when you are getting multiple doctors to prescribe you Xanax and you are taking more than what you should be taking, that is when you are considered to be abusing a medication. Just because you have a prescription doesn't mean that he isn't abusing it. And for as long as I have known Aaron, he has always abused Xanax. Always,
Right.
always, always.
Right. So I did want to get into, so I know that a couple of things had popped up. When you broke your silence, you did on Twitter. Can you tell me what exactly started that and exactly what you broke on Twitter and what it entailed?
So what I decided to like kind of come forward with, first I kind of like started saying like, I would be like, he's fronting this lifestyle. He doesn't have the money that he likes to say that he has. Like, he owes people thousands of dollars. That he's never paid. He filed for bankruptcy years ago. He doesn't have money. Like I would do those little tidbits and stuff like that. And then he had said something on Twitter one day, and I didn't even see it because I want to say in 2017 I kind of stopped following all social public stuff from him because I never refollowed him after we kind of got into an argument, and I'll tell you what that argument was. But when he posted about saying that children were killing themselves because of what you guys were doing, and when I mean by you guys is like you guys that were kind of like posting, his inconsistencies and his scams and things like that, like what your page is doing and what's the truth page is doing, like all those things that were kind of going on Twitter simultaneously. Like he was blaming you guys for children killing themselves. And I was like, is he out of his fucking mind? Like that made no sense to me. Like, cause he likes to come off as like this huge bully advocate, but he's like such a bully himself.
Right.
And he was basically saying that like what you guys were doing was making kids want to kill themselves. And I was like, no, we're not going to do this. This is bullshit. Like, I don't got time for this. And I was like, he needs to stop with that because if he wants, I'll put him on blast with what I know. And I do know that the girlfriends that have been in the picture while I've been friends with him, he has either been aggressive with, he has either hit them, and things have been toxic because they have either told me themselves, they have hinted to me, or he has told me, or I've seen it in emails that his sister has sent to him where she basically acknowledges it.
Okay.
So I knew that it was happening, and I always knew that it was when he was using. It was when he was, yeah, things are kind of scary now. I'm kind of scared. He took my phone, things like that. You know, so like if he's drinking heavily, if he's, you know, popping his pills, and, you know, if he's using, he's violent, he's aggressive, and he lays his hands on people. He's controlling, you know, everything has to be his way, things like that. Because I would have girlfriends that would reach out to me, or I would see text message conversations that he would have with said girlfriends that he would screenshot and send to me. Like, he would literally sit here and send me screenshots of conversations with girlfriends at that time. And he'd be like, can you fucking believe this, bitch? And I'd be like, what are you talking about? Why are you being so aggressive right now? And that was always how I knew he was using.
You
know, just even in the way he would talk to that person that he was in a relationship, he would talk down to them. He would make them literally feel guilty about something that person didn't need to feel guilty about. He would turn an entire situation onto that other person and make it feel like they did something wrong when in fact he did something wrong.
Right.
You know, because when he was on tour, it was very notorious that Aaron would kiss fans during his meet and greets. He would get touchy, you know? So like when you hear about that predatory behavior, yeah, his meet and greets were like that. Because I remember when I went to my first show, I was like, oh, he gets to know you during that meet and greet. It's not like a 5-second meet and greet. It's a couple of minutes with each person.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it's a hug here, it's a kiss on the lips here, it's a hand on the ass there, it's a nice tight squeeze, a whisper in the ear. Oh yeah. Whether it was a minor or not, I never witnessed that. Because had I witnessed that, it would have been a huge game changer in mine and his friendship. I would have never let some shit like that slide. I would have never been in his life had I known that.
Right. Well, yeah. I'm sure that, you know, he here's the thing is with predators, you know, they try to hide that kind of stuff, you know, just like in those text messages, he said, don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it sounds so much like him. Just like the way that conversation happened, it's like, don't tell anybody, I could get in trouble. It's just, it's him. Like, he can't sit here and deny, oh, it wasn't me, it was him. You know, like,
his excuse is saying that she came on to me, and it's like, okay,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, because as a grown-ass fucking adult, whether or not someone comes onto you, you should be able to be like, hey, this isn't okay. This isn't appropriate.
Right.
Like, regardless of who it is. Regardless of if a minor comes to you and sits here and flirts with you, sends you pictures, you don't respond the way he responded in those text messages. He can sit there and say she threw herself at him all she wants, but at the end of the day, he was the adult in that situation, not her. She was a minor, and he should have handled that completely differently if that's even how it went down, which I doubt.
Right. So, like, you're an adult. You fucking put your hands up and go, no, this is not what happens. You're a child.
It's not. And,
Yeah.
and one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I brought up is this cell phone. And I don't know if you have a little bit more insight to it, but do you guys know how long Rick has had that cell phone? Because I think he's had it longer than what people think.
I have to rack my brain. No, I think he had it for a while, actually.
Yeah, because I remember, I want to say it was early 2015, and this was around the time that Lori Knight left, and I remember him telling me, like, about a storage unit and about how Lori defaulted on the payments. He thought Lori was paying it, but Lori wasn't paying it. And one of his storage units that had all his shit and an old cell phone were in it, and it got sold at auction.
Oh, really?
Yes, this was early 2015 when he told me this story. And
yeah,
I
he
go,
had it for a long time.
right, but it gets better. So then he goes, well, now someone's trying to blackmail me. And so my initial reaction is, oh, do you have nudes on there? Like, is someone trying to extort you? You know, I'm like, are they blackmailing you, or are they trying to extort you because you have nudes on your phone? Because Aaron sends dick pics to everybody. I think
Apparently, that's what I hear.
There's about like 8 dick pics on my old phone. Okay? That dick pic with his blue boxer, whatever, that's his. He sent me that picture once. It's in my old phone. He sends it unsolicited.
God. Really?
Yeah.
So you have that same photo?
Yeah. I have that same photo.
You have that same photo. So that's your photo. I
can literally go to my room, get my iPhone 5, plug it in because it's probably dead, go into that conversation and literally look into the details, and I can scroll up and that picture will show up.
Oh my God, please do that. Please do that, because that just proves that that's it. Because he tried to say that that was photoshopped and that's not his. He tried to say that.
It is totally his. I have that same exact picture on that phone.
We need to see the square dick pic, because his dick looks like a square. We need to see it.
Can I even legally do that though?
What do you mean?
Like, show that picture on live?
I would send it privately. I definitely wouldn't like send it over, you know?
Yeah.
We can talk about it later.
Yeah. I can show it to you. I just don't want to put it on live, because I don't want to be like, oh, she's distributing, you know,
right.
Yeah,
right.
I don't want to get hit with like revenge porn, okay? Because I'm not trying to do any kind of revenge on you. I just want to confirm that picture it's not fucking photoshopped. I mean, that's the same exact picture he once upon a time sent me.
Honestly, I you know, I know that obviously it's an open investigation with the FBI, and it might be something that they might want to know, because being that you have the same photo.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, they have the phone, so, but because he's lying about it, saying it's not, I think if I see it with my own eyes, that I can confirm, hey, I did see it with Jaquelyn's phone, and let everybody know. I don't have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I had, that phone has so much content on it that it doesn't let me scroll up after a certain date, because there's so much in there. That's how much we would talk, that, you know, if I go, like, I can obviously look at all the pictures we've ever sent to each other in that iMessage conversation, but I don't have the context to it, because it doesn't let me go past a certain year. So my friend was like, if you connect it to like a Mac, you would be able to see all the text. And I'm like, well, I don't have a Mac. My mom has a Mac, so I don't really know how it works. But I have that phone. You know, if authorities need to open that
Need to do
phone,
it.
if they need to open it and look at the contents of it,
And the dates and everything?
yeah, they can have it.
Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh, I'm freaking mind blown right now.
Yeah.
I already knew, but it's just like more evidence that you know what I'm saying?
That the pictures exist. Because
Right.
I think I saw some people were like, did you know he was sending things to minors? No, I didn't. I am having the hardest time with it because I'm a victim of sexual abuse. And he knows I'm a victim of sexual abuse. We've talked about this. We've gone deep on this topic. And
Oh,
he
wow.
knows how much it's affected me. And to know that we had these deep conversations about situations like this, to know that at that same time he was talking to minors and
Oh my God.
doing this kind of behavior, I have such a hard time wrapping my head around it because
Right.
I'm like, it makes me so heated.
Wow.
It makes me so angry, so heated. I had no clue, but it makes a lot of sense because, like I told you, when he told me that story about the storage unit and then being blackmailed, and he
Wow.
was, and I was like, oh, is it for nudes? And he was like, yeah, well, I have nudes on there, but there's some other things on there that can get me in trouble. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, well, when I was on Broadway, I did hook up with a girl who I thought was of age and later found out she wasn't. And I go, well, do you have a proof that she told you she was of age? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, well, give it to your attorney. I'm like, because I don't know how that works. You know, I don't know how it works if someone tells you they're of age and you hook up and then, you know, you find out that they're a minor. I don't know how that works. I never knew anyone who's ever experienced a situation like that.
Right.
So, you know, now hearing about, you know, this minor shit, I'm like, it kind of makes sense.
Right.
He probably
And he
did
knew.
know.
And that's
He
the thing, he
knew.
knew though.
And he knew, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like he told me one thing to
Right.
kind of make himself a victim and left details out because I
Well,
remember him telling me his storage unit sold at auction, someone bought it, someone had access to his stuff, and someone had access to an old phone, and he was being blackmailed, and that his attorney was involved, and he didn't know what to do. And I was like, well, if you have something that says that she told you she was of age, show it to your attorney and see what she says. And
right. And
he said,
okay.
okay, I'll make sure she handles it.
Wow.
And I
I wonder
never,
what came up about it because I know obviously we're, so many years later now.
yeah, because that was
And
2015. We're in almost 2020.
right. Right. So I don't know if it's because they settle. I don't know. I
I
don't
have no
know.
clue. Because if there was one thing, I was never this person that pushed for information from him. I was always the person that was like, if you want to tell me shit, you can tell me shit. And I'll give you advice. I'll call you out on your shit. But I'm not going to pry you for information. I was never
Right.
going to be that person. I never wanted him to question my motives as a friend to him.
Right. Well,
So,
didn't you tell me that because you had just said right now that, he told you one thing and then you found out another. And I know that you had said something about um the whole thing when I posted, I don't know, it was a week ago or so, that I had posted about when he got in the fight, the racist remarks he said to someone he
yes,
got hit or
yes,
something. He
yes.
called him
Okay.
Felipe or something, and
Yes,
he got in a brawl at a bar.
yes. Okay. So that show is not necessarily in my area, but it's in my state. And I was supposed to go to that show and help him sell merch. And my car ended up, something with the fuel pump ended up happening. It broke while I was driving. I almost got onto almost got into a car accident, and my car wasn't drivable at that time. And that venue was like a couple hours away. So I told him, I'm like, hey, I can't come to your show and I can't help you. And he was like, oh, okay, no, that's fine. As long as you're okay, like that's what matters, and things like that. So I didn't go to that show. I wasn't there, but I remember once that show happened and when he was done, he was calling me. As soon as that show was over, as soon as he was done with everything, as soon as he was heading back to the hotel, he was calling me and he was like, dude, you missed it. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, a huge fight broke out at my show. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like in the crowd? And he goes, no. He's like, I had to kick someone out of my show because they were being hella disrespectful. And I was like, man, that fucking sucks, you know? And he was like, yeah, like, you know, he was like, I was trying to perform and interact with my fans. And like, these guys were kind of like heckling me while I was on stage. And I was like, I told security to kick them out. And then they got rowdy with it. And then they ended up jumping the stage and trying to attack me. And I was like, oh my God, this shit is fucking crazy, you know? And he never once told me it was anything in regards to anything racist. Never.
Wow.
Never once.
Yeah, so apparently he ended up like got in a fight with some guy, and he said something like what was the thing? It's something Felipe, like
by Felipe.
What was it? Oh yeah, he's like bye Felipe, because
Yeah.
remember it used to be a thing to say bye
Felicia.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Right.
bye Felicia. Yeah.
So
yeah.
So that was how the story went down.
Which is fucked up.
When we, like, the day it happened, that was what he told me. And then he sends me a link to an article about it, about him using the word by Felipe. And so when I read it, I was like, I'm like, what the fuck is by Felipe? He's like, come on, Jackie, it's like by Felicia. And I was like, oh, I'm like, so is that what you say to a dude then? And he goes, yeah. And I go, so why is everyone so bent out of shape about it? Like, if that's what you say to a guy, and then you say by Felicia to a girl, like, what's the whole, like, I didn't know he was saying it to a Hispanic guy. So I had no clue. Weird. Yeah. It was just kind of like one of those add-ons in the article. Like the article he sent me wasn't, it didn't accuse him of being racist. It just kind of like, it talked about how a fight broke out at his show and how
he was Hispanic.
And that he had kicked someone out. And the article he sent me never even disclosed the person's nationality or race. Never. Oh. Like the article he sent me never mentioned anything about racism. He was just literally, yeah, it never did. The article he sent me, he literally sent me an article to be like, here, look, they're even writing about what happened. That was what he sent me. And I was like, dude, this is fucking crazy. And like, wow. And then it just goes, you know, like like the article was basically like saying that things got rowdy at his show, you know, people were, you know, being disruptive, and he was asking them to have security take them out. And that, you know, he was like, bye Felipe, as they were walking out or whatever. But the article that he linked me never mentioned anything about race, never mentioned anything about racism, nothing. So that's why when I read by Felipe, I was like, so what's the point of by Felipe? Like, I had never heard it before. I always had heard of by Felicia. And he's like, that's what you'd say to a dude. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. I've only heard by Felicia. And so when he sent me that article, it was like showing me like, hey, look, they're even talking about it. They're talking about what went down. Never mentioned anything about racism in that article. Never mentioned anything about the race of the guys he was kicking out. He was just like sending me an article confirming like, hey, this broke out at my show. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's so weird. Yeah, that's so weird. And
with the whole Asian thing, and then he saying the N-word, and apparently I heard, are you still in here, Mondo? Apparently I heard that he said to Mondo about Spencer, he called him the N-word. That's just what I heard. I don't know that to be true. I don't know that. Of course, you know, a million people say a million different things, but
yeah,
I
I
don't know that to be true.
I never once ever experienced anything racist with Aaron until the recent stuff that's been going on. Never once. I'm Hispanic. His best friend was Hispanic. And he was never once racist to me, never once made a racist comment to me, never once made a racist comment towards anybody else. Never.
That's good. That's good.
Never. Yeah, no, never. That's why I was
do you,
so shocked.
Do you feel like he's doing this because of the whole, like, you say that he changes when he gets in, you know, like you're saying, when he gets into like, when he starts to use drugs and things like that, you know, his alleged drug use gets kind of out of control, that he kind of changes into a different person. Do you feel like he changes, and then that's what these things kind of come out of him?
That's what comes out. Yeah. He's a completely different person when he's using.
Wow.
Like I said, I never, ever heard him ever use the N-word. Never heard him say anything racist to me, towards anyone else. Never. In the time that I was friends with him up until recently. Never.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the drug use that he had, that you know of, that you saw him take, you just saw him take Xanax? Is that what you're saying? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what did you see him take?
I didn't see him take Xanax. He told me about his Xanax problem.
Gotcha.
He told me about being addicted to Xanax. He told me about pain medication. It was things that he told me. So as far as the huffing, when I found out about the huffing, I cried because I had no clue about the huffing. I had no fucking clue. He had sent me a screenshot of a conversation that another mutual friend that I knew, who was also close with him, had reached out to Angel. And this screenshot was multiple sets of pictures. And in that screenshot mentioned the Dusters. And it was like all I could take, like it was all I absorbed from that conversation when I first read it. Because he literally sent me a picture and he goes, I don't know if I could ever trust this person ever again. Look what she sent my sister. And I go, okay. And
okay, you're getting hid, Aries. I'm not doing this shit. Sorry. Go ahead.
And so when I was reading it and she was talking about the huffing and the Dusters and his sister confirming it and talking about just how bad it is and about how, you know, there were videos of it that he would post on social media. And then the next day when he would wake up and he would realize, oh shit, he would remove it. You know, like people would record him high as fuck on Dusters. And then
that's what I heard. Like Jason did or something like that. Or
Jason
I don't know.
Did. Yeah, Jason did. Other people that he was around.